Preface of With Fire and Sword. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Chris Chapman. With Fire and Sword by Samuel H. M. Byers. Preface. In war, some persons seek adventures. Others have them in spite of themselves. It happened that the writer of this book belonged to a regiment that seemed to be always in the midst of great experiences. It was, in fact, one of the few regiments that absolutely fought themselves out of existence. It was mustered in 1,000 strong. It lost 777 men by death, wounds, and disease. The fragment that was left over was transferred to a cavalry command. When the writer finally escaped from prison, after many months of confinement and many thrilling adventures both in prison and in the army of the enemy, he was mustered out as a supernumerary officer. His command had ceased to exist. He was literally the last man of the regiment. Of the 80 of his regiment who had been taken to prison with him, all but 16 were dead. Of the 9 captured from his own company, all were dead but 1. While with his command, he had served as a private soldier, as sergeant, and as adjutant. On escaping from prison, he was for a time on General Sherman's staff, and was selected to run down the Cape Fear River and carry the great news of Sherman's successes to the people of the North. He kept a diary every day in the 4 years of war and adventure. The substance of the facts related here is from its pages. Occasionally they are copied just as they are there set down. The book is not a history of great army movements. It is simply a true tale of the thrilling experiences of a subordinate soldier in the midst of great events. End of preface.
Chapter 1 of With Fire and Sword. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jörn Meyer. With Fire and Sword by Samuel H. M. Byers. Chapter 1. My enlistment in the Union Army, the bushwhackers of Missouri, the Quantrells and the James brothers cutting a man's head off, my first adventure in the war, capturing a guerrilla. I am writing down these sketches of adventures of mine from a daily journal or diary kept by me throughout the 4 years of the Civil War. Its pages are crumpled and old and yellow, but I can read them still. Fate so arranged it that I was the very first one to enlist in my regiment, and it all came about through a confusion of names. A patriotic mass meeting was held in the courthouse of the village where I lived. Everybody was there, and everybody was excited, for the war tocsin was sounding all over the country. A new regiment had been ordered by the governor, and no town was so quick in responding to the calls as the village of Newton. We would be the very first. Drums were beating at the mass meeting, fifes screaming, people shouting. There was a little pause in the patriotic noise, and then someone called out, "Myers to the platform!" "Myers! Myers! Myers!" echoed 100 other voices. Mr. Myers never stirred, as he was no public speaker. I sat beside him near the aisle. Again the voices shouted, "Myers! Myers!" Myers turned to me, laughed, and said, "They are calling you, Byers," and fairly pushed me out into the aisle. A handful of the audience, seeing Myers would not respond, did then call my own name, and both names were cried together. Some of the audience became
Sample complete. Ready to continue?